Is my camera okay?
Hey, we're live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Tim Gillette. And in this podcast, you know me as Mr. T. And my co-host is...
Gladys Boutwell, also known as Lady G.
And this is like our happy hour / party / once a week time where we get together and drink and share with you guys. Did you ever think that you would actually have a friend in Texas that you would get together on a weekly basis to have a drink with?
No, I did have, although I will tell you, during COVID, after, the first month that I cried because it was just, sad times, I'm like, I need to reconnect. And so I said to a couple of my friends, hey, can we get together? And so I started inviting a bunch of people. And there was a core group of us, one in El Paso, Texas, one in LA, one just south of me here in Oregon, and myself. So the four of us, we continued to meet week after week on Wednesdays at, I think it was 5:30. And for an hour, sometimes hour and a half, we just chat. And sometimes we'd have water, sometimes we'd have a drink. But that was about the only time. And we weren't really tasting notes. We were just talking about whatever. Yeah. This has a meaning. There's something specific. We are talking about food, and we're talking about, in this case, wine. So that for me is even more exciting. The camaraderie is amazing. I loved it. I needed it during COVID, but I think this is your special, Tim.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you know what I mean. And speaking of food, who's the crazy guy who comes up with the food every week? I'm telling you, man.
It's I think his name starts with a T. That you made me work this time. And I'll get to it.
Last week I had to work though. Oh my God, because I had to do so much cooking. Yeah.
Oh yes, all the cooking you did. I know.
And like last week was supposed to be like the guy's like dream week, man. And yeah. So.
I ended up making more nachos last week because they were so good. Next day, I'm like, I think I'm gonna have this for lunch. So that was lunch the following day.
That's all Gwen and I had for dinner was the leftovers from the show last week.
That's what they're there for, to eat.
I know. They have a purpose behind it. So anyway, so you got your 3 glasses right now. I love. You ever go to a winery? They give you 1 glass.
Yeah.
Right. We're gonna do 3. Why? Because at the end we're gonna do the tasting of all 3 and compare. Yes. By the way, I have my special glass.
Ooh, nice.
Wait a minute, you ever heard of this one?
No.
That is my favorite winery in Napa. Been a member there for close to over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You must like it. You move out of you weren't even you were in the same state, but different areas. You had it shipped, and now you moved to another state, continue to get it. Mm-hmm. You love it when you continue to receive the same wine club year after year.
So the 2 main wine clubs that I'm here, well, there I'm just a wine club member, but here in Dallas, there's a wine club that we're part of. It's called it's a Texas winery known as it's here in they have a grapevine one, which is real close, and we joined not only their wine club, but their, I think, gold VIP club.
Oh,
yeah. So, which I think with what like the was it the Willamette Valley? You're like Willamette Winery. You're like that VIP with them, aren't you?
Yeah, it's Willamette.
Willamette. All right. Yeah.
Willamette.
Here's the deal. All right. I actually was able to find from the region, but I wasn't able to find that winery down here.
I know. And you know what? I think it's where you might have gone, because Willamette Valley Vineyard. So Willamette Valley is an area here in Oregon that is very well known. And it is so well known, the Russian River area and the Willamette area. These are areas that are very primed and well known for the Pinot Noir. Mm-hmm. And there was this, I don't know that I want to call him a businessman, but what he did is that he was using the Willamette name and the Rogue River and the Rogue name in the wine he was producing in California, which made it seem as though it was Oregon wine or Oregon grapes. And during the time that it was 2020, there was fires in Oregon, oh my goodness, it was like multiple fires. California was part of it also. And so what he did is that he pulled back from buying the grapes, saying that they were tainted because of the wildfires. He has since he went to jail. He's like being he's got sued. I mean, it is just the things that he did just to use the Willamette name and the Rogue River name. It's almost like saying the Russian River, Sonoma, Napa. That's what it's like to utilize these names here from Oregon. So that's been quite interesting. But Willamette Valley Vineyards, it's a great vineyard. They're in south of Salem. They're in Turner as well as McMinnville. And I did find Willamette Valley Vineyard wine at the Kroger when I was in Dallas. So it is available in Dallas. I think it just depends on where you go, but that's okay. We'll have to ship you some or have you hunt it down because it's yummy.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't know why we couldn't find it this week, and it's weird. So
it's okay.
Anyway.
We got some 3 great Pinots.
We get 3. I love this. So we decided to go Pinot Noirs this week. And, the object of the show is to actually find different things and just, not do a wide, but like a narrow on one thing to taste every week, and then add 3 or 4 different foods with it, which I know. How many foods do we have this week? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yes.
So anyway, so I'm going to let you start off with which wine are we going with first?
Well, we are going to start with Josh. So Josh is from California. So Josh, if you're out there, big hello to you. So Josh from California. So this is Josh Sellers. And this one, the other 2 are from Oregon, but it is quite interesting that it has even been written that those wines in Oregon, but also the anything that's close to the Pacific, that we're coming into the area where there are a lot of Pinot Noirs that are really becoming world-class wines and world-class Pinot Noirs. So you will find a lot of Pinot Noirs definitely in Oregon, but also in Northern California. You'll also find these wines, these Pinot Noirs that are yummy tasting. So today we're starting with Josh. So Josh is from Central.
Is his name Carr?
I'm sorry?
Is his last name Carr?
Yes.
Like Carr?
Yes, Carr. So the founder was Joseph Carr, and he actually named Josh after his dad. And so this is a tribute to his dad.
Okay.
But Josh, who is also Joseph, so it's Joseph Carr, Carr, that founded, but it was his father, Joseph or Josh. He was born in 1932 in Vermont. Then he married in 1957 and then went into the military. And it wasn't until 1960 that Joseph Carr, the founder of Josh Sellers, he and his twin sister Lisa were born. And in 1978 is when Joseph ventured. He went from upstate New York to Napa, and he discovered the love of wine. And it was in 1979 when he began working in upstate New York. He was doing, he was a waiter before he was a wine steward. And it wasn't until 1990 he married his wife Dee, and they started. It was in 2001 where he really started to pursue his love of wine, and they opened up a bottle of wine and stayed up until like 3 a.m. talking about it. Next day he said, "You know what? I'm quitting my job. I'm going to start some, winery." So it was in 2002 that he first started his wine and he released the wine. So we're going to taste this one. The Cab was his very first wine, but in this case, we're going to go with the Pinot Noir. Because
I would have rather us tasted Cabs first because it's my favorite, but I want this show is not, again, my taste isn't everybody's taste, but Pinot Noirs are my second favorite red wine.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I've really learned to really love Pinot Noirs living in the Pacific Northwest, just because Oregon wines and even some of the California ones are really rivaling France with the Pinot Noirs.
Yes, they are.
So this particular vintage is the 2020. But Josh Sellers has been around since 2005. Then in 2008 is when they really got it all started. 2010 is when they got more recognition, but it was in 2021 that Josh Cellars was named the American Winery of the Year by Wine Enthusiast magazine. So we're going to taste the 2020 today. Mm. Mm. What did you think of it? What are you?
I want some pork chops is what I'm thinking. Seriously, I mean, is it bad when you can actually tell the wine, say, this is the food I want to have with it?
That is
I
not
didn't think to
about
put pork on there. I was thinking about putting pork on our menu, but I didn't. But I taste it, and it's like this is like that pork chop wine.
I can definitely. I think it's the. See, I love adding fruit to my pork chops, blueberries, raspberries. And this one has a little bit of strawberries in there. So I'm thinking that's probably why that's what I'm tasting. A little bit of strawberries, a little bit on the dry side also.
Yes.
What have you tried it with? So today we have a Gouda cheese. We have Swiss cheese. We have, I did a Bartlett pear. What pear did you get?
I don't know which pear I got. I just got a pear.
Is it green or brown on the outside?
Green. It's green on the outside.
All right. Was it kind of a yellow green or was it a green green?
Yellowish green, yeah.
Okay, then you probably got a Bartlett, the same as I did. I got hard Italian salami. What did you get in the salami family?
I got it looks like Slim Jim salami.
Okay. You know, the funny thing is I almost went with a beef stick, but you said salami, so I went with salami. I went with the little thin crackers. And then the other thing he chose, MrT here, was pesto pasta.
Yeah.
So
okay, there's one other thing I asked to get, but I didn't see it. I don't see it on your plate.
Oh, it's over here. It's chocolate.
Which chocolates did you get?
So I got a variety because I wasn't sure what you wanted. So I went with quite a few. And then from here, I'll choose based on what you have.
I've got little pieces broken up, but I also have my Lindt.
Ah, okay. So I have Lindor, I have Ferrero Rocher, and then I have Ghirardelli because California. And then, of course, one lonely Hershey's. So I have a variety to taste from. So I'm going to rat out MrT here because he chose pesto pasta. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to the deli, and Safeway has got to have a pesto pasta. And they did not. So I said, okay, I guess I'm going to have to make my own pesto pasta. So I got the pesto pasta, and then I got the penne, and I went home and I said, I need to make pesto pasta, you know, and I'm just not sure that this is what I'm going to do. So Sean says to me, well, you got to do this, 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 and this. And I said, I don't have that kind of time tomorrow. I said, I want it easy peasy. So what we ended up doing is that we, and this is a recipe, super easy, y'all.
Yeah.
So make your pasta. While your pasta is being made, just get a pre-made pesto jar of your choice. Get a pan, put tons of butter, a little bit of garlic, you know, let that saute. Then add, I added a little bit of Chardonnay, some wine, because I thought.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
So I added Chardonnay, and then I added the pot. Once the pasta was made, I drained that, but I didn't rinse it. You do not rinse pasta, otherwise the starchiness goes away, and your whatever you're making, no matter what kind of sauce, will not stick to it. So just drain it, but do not strain it. Do not strain it. Do not rinse it down.
I didn't strain mine. I just drained mine. All right, and then I added butter. That's when I added my butter to mine.
Okay.
About my pasta or pesto, my wife made the pesto sauce last night.
Ooh, good job.
So yeah, I was fine with just getting it from the store and making it that way. But yeah, I was hoping that we'd find it. I was hoping we'd find like a pesto pasta, you know, salad of some sorts, and I couldn't even find that. Yeah.
No. So then I added the pesto and heated that up. Then I threw my pasta in there and just mixed it all in, and then I topped it off with some chopped almonds. So just you know, dry, no salt almonds, just raw almonds. So just on top. So because, of course, pesto usually has pine nuts in it, so I could have used pine nuts, but I didn't have any. I went with what I had at home. So that's how my pesto pasta came to fruition. So easy. Just play with your food, y'all. even though you were told as a kid, don't play with your food, play with your food. You will come up with some fun things. And if you don't like it, you don't have to make it again. But if you do like it, you have a new recipe. So here's the
idea behind the show is to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Remember our very first show? What was the one thing I tasted? And I was like, oh, that doesn't go with that. I've done it with the pear so far, and now I'm going to do it with the pasta.
I liked it with the pasta. But yeah, now I have pork in my mind. So
I know that's my bad, because literally until I tasted it, I would never. I tasted it, and I'm like, this is what I would have with pork.
Mm-hmm. So one of the reasons, there's a couple of reasons to swish your wine. One is you want to encompass all your senses. So when you're looking at this gorgeous color, there's your eyes. Then because you are swirling it, the smells are in here. Then you want to smell it. So then you get a different, now you have another sense in there, and then you want to taste it. And then it's the
I was almost going to put mine in a decanter to let it air, but I didn't. I didn't put mine inside, live in the bottle.
That's okay. Whenever you have a newer red wine, you do want to let it sit and air out. I did not let it sit for more than 15 minutes, so that was my bad. But normally, if it's a newer wine, you want to let it sit for an hour, 2 hours. It's okay to let it sit and air out, or put it into a decanter, so that way it just the oxygen in the air comes in, and it just gives it a slightly different flavor. That's why sometimes you get when you're sipping on something and you taste it again later, you're like, hey, that tastes different, and that's because it's been aerated, so it has more oxygen and it just tastes better. So how did you like it with the pear?
I really liked it with the pear. I like it with the pasta better. So let me try Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese might be the combination, the good cheese.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the pear, the good thing is my pear is not overly sweet. If my pear was sweet, I would not like it with this.
No, it's not. Mine's not a sweet pear, and that's why I think what pairs with it. Yeah. Oh, I take that back. I'll try it with the Gouda, but I'm not. I like the taste of the Swiss until I added the wine to it.
And you can always clear out your palate. So whether you have your sparkling water, my Topo Chico on hand, or a cracker, cleanse your palate.
Goes better with the Gouda.
Really? Okay. Gouda it is. Oh yeah, I really like that. I liked it with the pasta and the Gouda. And just remember, y'all, it's wine tasting, not wine drinking. So if you don't like it, just pour it out. It's okay. Nobody's going to get upset if you do. And don't pour another wine on top of, if you have a little bit left, do not pour another wine in here. It's not going to taste the same. It's going to change the taste of it. So make sure you
go to the winery. I don't have the extra glass here to do it, but the winery, it's one of the reasons why I always keep the water there. All right. When I'm going to a tasting, I will. They won't do it. All right. They'll just drip it. But I'll take my water, put my water into it, swirl it, and then I will dump it. In my case, I have extra glass over here.
I was at a tasting on Wednesday with Women to Women Network. Liz Hatcher, she invited me last year. We did a virtual event. This year, she goes, it's in person. So I got to be around 12, 13 other ladies, and we tasted some Willamette Valley Vineyard wine, and it was a lot of fun to be able to taste something different. And so I was coming around with a little bottle of water to clear off their glass, and then I had a little plastic one so that they can just pour it in there. And I'm like, yeah, just dump it. And they're all like, no, we're drinking it. So they were hydrating at the same time, clearing their and I was like, okay, I would never do that, but you know what? It is okay because they're hydrating and it was clearing off their glass and they weren't, pouring it out.
Look at this guy's got to show up.
He wants some. Oh, maybe I'll say.
I'm sorry, Sean. Are we tasting without you?
I will tell you, he's the one that came up with this pasta recipe. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll blame him. He's got some in the fridge, so he's not doing without.
See,
He just doesn't
to
have
me,
the
it
cooking.
sounds like out of the two of you, all right, just from the stories I've heard from Sean, I've not met Sean, but the stories I've heard, it sounds like he's the cook and you're the bartender.
Uh, well, he's actually
Correct me
been a
if I'm wrong,
bartender.
Sean.
He is a very good bartender. Makes me a delicious cocktail. We both love to cook. I think that's why we do very well in the kitchen together. We both love to cook. We just cook differently. Our styles are very, very different.
Mhm.
And so I love what he makes, and he loves what I make because it's so completely different on how we cook. He was in the food and beverage industry for many years, and I just grew up learning from my aunt, just watching her cook and then watching cooking shows and learning from them and recipes and making them my own. So yeah, we both cook just differently.
Well, Gwen and I both cook, but she loves, like, she set the kitchen up because she loves to cook. My ideas of cooking is I'll find a recipe and I'll go try it. But I'm not like into cooking, right?
Ah,
My brother Kenny, he loves to cook, all right, and he's the one who lives in San Jose. He would only love to cook if there's a group of like 6 people there. Now he's like all in, man, and he'll throw it together in like 2 hours. This
wow.
grand meal. Yeah.
I got to the point where I said, you know what, I got to cook for myself too. So why not? Because I love hosting. So it was always about other people. And then at one point, probably a couple years ago, maybe actually, I think it's 3 years ago, I just started cooking just because. And I would make these meals. And when some of my friends would give me a hard time, they're like, all you do is post food and liquor. And I said, that's because I love
What else
food and
matters?
liquor.
What else matters?
So we are going to move on to Argyle. So Argyle and Four Graces are two Oregon wineries. Um, I have not been. I actually I have not
Argyle out
tasted.
of the two is the only one with the screw top. I used to always think screw top wine, not good. I'm sorry. I have so many now that I love. So
Yeah. So there are different also glasses depending on what you're drinking. This is a Pinot glass, and
yeah,
a
I
lot of
only have the
people.
smaller wine glasses tonight. I didn't have the specialty for each one. So
I normally don't, but I've collected a few, and so these are the ones I had, and they're beautiful, and I love them. But you can fit a whole bottle of wine in one of these glasses, and I'm not going to pour an entire bottle of wine in here to prove it. But a lot of times people are like, "Oh, I didn't get that much." Well, a lot of them will have, like this one has a little star that says "pour it till there,"
yeah,
um,
yeah.
but that's why when it comes to wine pours, you don't always know what you're going to get because depends on the size of the glass. It may not seem like there's a lot of wine in there, but there could be, just depending on the size of the glass. So, um, yeah, I love these glasses; they're gorgeous. But again, look at those legs in there. Look at the color. You want to look at that color, smell, and then taste. It's all you want to take as many senses as you can when you're tasting wine.
I'm going to swirl that a little bit more and smell it one more time because I got a weird smell on this one. It's like I smell the I know it didn't have a cork in it, but it's like I smell the oak in it.
Hmm.
Are you getting that?
Milk.
Oak.
Oak. Oak. Oh, yes. This one does have a little bit of oakiness in it. It's supposed to.
I'm like, not just a little, I
Yeah.
mean, like I'm getting an overwhelming oak smell.
So this is one that's supposed to have polished tannins, silky texture, and a persistent length. It's
Hmm.
supposed to be elegant. It's supposed to be fruity. It's supposed to have texture. Um, and it is supposed to have a little bit of oak in there. Now, mind you, this is a 2019 vintage. Um, I think again these are younger wines, so these do require a little bit of allowing them to sit out for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and so
So
these
if you were having, let me ask you this. So if you were having your dinner party this weekend, all right, when would you open the bottle of wine before dinner?
probably a couple of hours before.
No.
and just let it sit. Especially if I'm not going to decant it, if I'm just going to leave it in the bottle, because it has a smaller ability to allow the oxygen to get in there. Probably a couple of hours before, and just let it sit.
Because I opened this, but I took the corks and opened it, but I didn't, probably 20 minutes before we come up.
Me too. Yeah. Nate Klosterman, and hopefully I didn't butcher his name. He's the one that's recognized for making these graceful and complex wines, vibrant and balanced. Well balanced. That's Argyle is known for, and he's they do small lots. So Josh does that also, where they are creating small batches, as is Argyle. They really want to keep that smaller batch feel, preserve those nuances and complexities. And a lot of times when it comes to Pinot Noir, it's about the clusters, the whole clusters. One of the ones we were going to do was a whole cluster, but really they're all whole clusters. That's what makes a Pinot Noir. But it really accentuates that depth of the nuances in the Pinot Noir. So this is one of the reasons. Argyle is probably, from where I live, about 40 minutes away, because it takes half an hour to get from where I'm at into Newburgh, and then another 10 minutes or so to get into Dundee, which is the next little suburb, if you will, down from Newburgh. But I can get to it. I've driven by it. I had gone by, and I hadn't stopped at that winery, but I had tasted one of their wines previously, and I was kind of, it's okay, but I hadn't made a stop. And when you picked the Argyle, I went, I can try it. I'm okay with it. Try something different. What have you had it with? Because I've not been following you.
Okay. First, I did it with the meat. Doesn't match this meat too well. I'm gonna try. I just tasted the pasta. I'm gonna try to taste it again.
I did the meat with the Swiss together.
Okay, with the I didn't try it with the meat and the Swiss together, but with the pasta, leaves kind of a chalky feel in my mouth after having my pasta. And that could be my pasta recipe not going well with this wine. So again, I'm going to try. You did it with the Swiss, you said?
Mm-hmm.
How was it with the Swiss?
I liked it. I paired the Swiss with the salami, and it had a good combination. See, my pasta tasted really good with it too. Okay, I'm afraid to taste the pear.
Oh man, it put some smoky into the Gouda. Oh my. And I'll bet you that's that oak.
Yeah. All right. Cleanse the palate. I definitely don't like the pear with it. I'm
interested with the pear, but I don't take this as because the pear is going to have a more sweet, and I would not think a sweet fruit would go with this. Even a sour fruit would go with it, to tell you the truth.
Ooh, I do like that. Ooh. It definitely brings out the smokiness in the Gouda.
It does.
Oh my goodness, that is super yummy.
I got to tell you, the best so far. That's the best pairing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with both the Josh and the Argyle, that Gouda.
The Gouda, yeah. Gouda. I'm gonna try the pear, even though you said don't. Yeah, that is not a pear. That is not a wine for pear.
No, I think the pear would taste well with some white wines.
I know pear goes. I mean, I've had pears with almost all white wines. I was shocked when I was doing my research that it said pear and strawberries, and I was worried about getting good strawberries this time of year.
So are you sure it didn't say to pair strawberries with?
No. It gave pears. All right, sliced pears and strawberries. But it said strawberries like with chocolate, and I know we've got chocolate here, but again, I was worried about us not getting strawberries, so I didn't want to put that on again. Yeah. All right, and not being able to get strawberries because we're getting later in the season.
Right.
But like I figured pears because I know you can almost always get a pear at the store. So
Right.
um,
No, that was easy enough too. And I picked the one that was gonna hold for, pears hold. But I didn't want it really sweet, so I picked the section that was slightly yellow, slightly green, so I can get a little bit of sweet, but a little bit of the tartness of the pear. So I
so I
definitely
have
like
a sea salt dark chocolate. That's the ticket right there.
that. Okay, dark chocolate. I have intense dark chocolate, and I have the Hershey's just regular special dark. Which one?
Try it with the special dark.
Okay.
The one that I'm gotten, and the reason I think it is because of the oakiness again, is the sea salt in the chocolate, and I think is making the
Oh,
great
I
pair.
do have one that has sea salt over
Do
here.
the sea salt with the chocolate, the dark chocolate. Oh my god!
Oh, yeah, dark chocolate, sea salt. Oh, this one has caramel in it though. I thought I had one just. Mm. No, I'll just go with this one because this one has caramel and that's way too sweet. I'm not gonna like that. Yeah, so we'll just go with the dark.
To me, caramels. I don't think caramels would pair. To me, caramels wouldn't pair with
Mm.
any red wine.
No, I don't think it pairs well with any wine. It's too sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a port. Maybe, maybe.
I'll think about that when we get to ports.
Mm,
So I don't know what do you know? I didn't look. Gwen bought these and brought them home. What was the price tag on this Argyle?
I think I paid 24 or $25 on it. They were all in the 20s.
Yeah.
I think Josh was 22 or 23. Argyle was, I think, 24. And then Four Graces was like 23 or 24. I actually went to Target.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to my liquor store. They had very limited wine because liquor stores are for liquor, not wine, but I still had to look.
Yeah.
And so then I went, well, I'll just go to Target. And I found them when I was at Safeway because, again, Oregon, Washington, big difference. So I was in Oregon, went to Target, picked them up, and I was kind of going, I know I could have gotten them for cheaper, but when I was at Safeway, of course, me being the frugal person that I am and always looking for what's the best deal, I looked for them. They didn't have the Four Graces, but they did have Argyle and Josh, and they were much more expensive. So I said, and then on top of the cost, there's the Washington liquor tax.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the $25 was going to turn into 30, and the $22 was going to turn into like $28. So I said, I'm glad I bought them in Oregon. Plus, they were Oregon wines. At least two of them were.
Yeah.
So, so
You won't want to go to Washington to get your Oregon wines.
let's keep it in state, y'all. Let's keep it in state.
All right. So far, this is not my favorite. All right. I'm gonna go with the Josh is the better of the two of these. So
So, Four Graces is our. Let's see if this is going to be the name. So Four Graces was named after four of the daughters of the original founders of Four Graces. The son, he was named. Oh my goodness, they gave him a name, but it didn't. It had nothing to do with. It was the keeper of the Four Graces. That's what it was. So the son, Nicholas, he was named the keeper of the Four Graces because they weren't going to call him Five Graces because it was four females and a male. That was just not going to work. So Four Graces, that's how they named it. And have you ever thought about, you know what? I think I'm going to buy this vineyard as a family getaway. Have you ever thought that? You know that that's what you're going to do?
maybe as a getaway. Yeah. Let me go here and get drunk. I'll just invite Gladys to come join me, and we're just gonna go there and drink.
Sounds good. That's how this all got started, was a family getaway. And so the Black family purchased a vineyard up here in the Dundee Hills in Oregon back in 2003 as a family retreat. And then they began to make wines and they named Four Graces after their daughters. And now it's owned by Bill Foley and his wife, Carol, who are retired in California. Go figure. But they're still owners. But that's how Four Graces got started here in the Willamette Valley. So I thought that was kind of cool. So Tim Jones is now the winemaker. He was born here in Oregon in Ashland, grew up in Eureka, California. And as a young guy going to school, yes, he'd go out and try wine, but his budget wasn't really wine friendly. So he just left it on his own. He decided to continue going to school, get his bachelor's in Spanish. So what does a degree in Spanish allow you to do? Well, it allowed him to go to Chile and Argentina, and he was able to study wines abroad. So he was able to come back and go, you know what? I think I really enjoy wines. And he worked in Sonoma, graduated UC Davis, and of course, met his wife. All these stories end up with the woman behind the man. I don't know, Tim.
So when it comes to this show, all right, are you on this show? Are you the woman behind me, or is it my wife telling? No, I don't know.
Well, you definitely have your wife supporting you, so thank you. Love you.
But like I never would have started this show on my own. So I needed you to start the show. And I'm pretty sure Sean's okay with me on the show with you. So
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because he does have a lot to say. I will tell you, I'm an ambassador for Willamette Valley Vineyards. And so I had some friends come down to Turner to do a wine tasting. So got the wine and everything. And Sean was there with me. He was debating he was going to come down. He opted to come down. So he came down. So we're presenting, I had all the food, because we always have to have food along with it. And he did me the favor of just stepping in and talking about the wines, because he loves wines and he really does understand. I don't know why he's not a sommelier yet. But he pretty much took over and did my presentation for me. And I was like, okay. I got to sit back and enjoy the food and the wine, and he got to do all the talking. So he does, and a previous bartender. So, he does have a little bit of say so sometimes, but again, I'm my own person, so I do my own thing. I didn't do everything he told me to do with the pasta, but I did do some of what he shared with the pasta. So all that to say, we have people to back us up, whether it's male or female. We have a spouse that is supporting our endeavors and what we're doing in our business and in our podcast. So thank you, guys.
Thank
we love you.
Cheers to you. Yeah.
Cheers. All right. So
I've been letting this air a little bit, and because one thing I thought maybe we should do with these wines after the previous one is maybe let them air. So I poured it and I've aired it before even tasting it. So I'm gonna same thing. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Is I'm going to actually get fresh in here out as we do the combo taste. After we get done this one, we'll combo taste, but I'm gonna let everything sit in the air a little bit to get a better feel. So I thought I'd let this one air to see if it improved its tasting before going in. So
another thing to do also is I have black tablecloth, but what you might want to do if you really want to see the color of your wine is put it on something light, a white or cream color tablecloth. Do your wine tasting during the day. A lot of times the wineries will either have wood or white on their countertops, and partially it's so that you can see the color of your wine, that you can really see, okay, what is it how do these compare to each other? And most of these are that delicious ruby red, as it are, but not as dark as a Merlot, and definitely nowhere near a Cab, because a Cab is, you shouldn't be able to see through a Cab. It's just very rich. This has that lighter tone to it, because it is lighter than a Merlot. It's hard to see the color, but hopefully you can see a little bit of the color.
My lights are facing at a different angle, so it's going to take my lighting different than your lighting.
Yeah, and I have white behind me, which kind of helps with that color. But you can see that ruby red.
I have an additional light I can add above, which will change the light, but it's a yellow light.
And that'll taste the color. To me, all three of them have a certain level of dryness at the end. And again, I believe it's because they are a younger vintage. This is a 2019. So two of these, 2019, and the Josh is a 2020. normally we want to compare the same year, but 2019, 2020, both of them had drier years for both California and Oregon. For Oregon, both of them had more of a not as wet of a winter. But the good thing was, because of that, it allowed them to pick the wine when they wanted to pick the wine. When the weather is yucky out there, as it is a lot of times in the Pacific Northwest during fall and winter, they have to pick it when they can. So sometimes it's like on Sunday, was it? Yeah, Sunday morning, my car was frozen over. What? At 8 o'clock in the morning, frozen over. Yet this morning, it was fine. It was 42 degrees out. It was not frozen. So from one day to the next, our weather here can differ, and so the winemakers have to work around that weather that is in the Pacific Northwest. Not as and Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington have crazier weather than does California. I think California, Sonoma, Napa have more consistent weather. So they're able to plan a little bit differently than Pacific Northwest. So back to the Gouda.
Not a fan of it with Gouda.
Really?
Mm-hmm. The pear went really good with this one.
Really? Okay.
I'm trying now with pasta.
Still didn't care for it with the pear.
I
didn't care for it with the pear. I did like, again, the Swiss and the meat.
I'm going to try the Swiss now.
And the pasta. Not too bad with the pasta. I think the pasta went best with the Argyle. The Gouda, definitely, I felt the Gouda went well with all three, but I think the Gouda went best with Argyle and Josh.
Yeah.
That's my thought. I think the Swiss and meat went better with Four Graces. That's at least my thought.
I'll back you up on that one. The Swiss, all right, and the meat are better with the Four Graces.
Now I'm gonna let this air out so that I can go back in. So you always want to cleanse that palate. So when here's a note, has nothing to do with wine or liquor. When you're buying a perfume or a cologne, ask for coffee grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Because that cleanses your nostrils. After smelling perfumes, your senses are so off, you're gonna have no clue. That's why you want to cleanse your palate. Mm-hmm. Your palate, goes, what? I'm everything starts meshing. So in between smells of cologne or perfume, coffee, get the coffee. The coffee will cleanse your palate. When you're doing wine, crackers, water, that'll cleanse your palate. And when you're having sushi, that's what the ginger is for. Even if you don't like ginger, it's going to cleanse your palate. Just saying.
So last night we went to see the Nutcracker done in the park here in Grapevine, Texas. We stopped at a place called E.T.'s. I don't know if you guys have E.T.'s up there. No. But E.T.'s is kind of like this. It's like this old-fashioned market.
Okay.
So basically you go in and they have this big round deli thing that you can get all kinds of combinations. They have a salad bar. They have an actual cook station to do pizzas and chickens and stuff. And then they have like different combinations of cheese and plates. Well, I got the sushi.
Ooh,
and usually I mix like my soy sauce and my wasabi. Well, they didn't have that in there, but they had this mixture that was not with the soy sauce, that was kind of it kind of had a little vinaigrette to it, right? Yep. So I basically, because it's a tray, I'm in the park, I'm sitting in a seat, I just you know what I'm going to do? I just take that and I just dump it all over the sushi.
Okay.
Oh my God. That was the best part. I'm like, I've never sat in the park and eaten raw fish. Didn't have chopsticks. I happened to do it with the fork that came with it because I didn't have chopsticks. But yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to use your fingers.
No, fork. No,
Okay.
because I had nowhere to go wash my hands other than porta potties. No,
Oh, yeah,
not
no.
doing that.
Yeah. Wipies. Always carry wipies.
Yes, I have them in my car. By the way, we went there and like we're going through Eatsy's getting our stuff going like napkins. I said, don't worry, I got that covered.
Okay.
Right? We go out to the car. Well, how are we going to carry this? Don't worry, I have that covered. This is what I love about my Mercedes. All right. I have this paper towels in the back. In the back, I have a thing of handy wipes. Got handy wipes in my console, right?
Mhm.
Put all of that. And then underneath the bottom piece, I flip up where usually you'd have a spare tire in an SUV. They don't have them on the Mercedes because they're run flat tires. So
Oh, yeah,
basically,
yeah.
I go in there and there's this flat crate that I just basically pop the sides into it. And I now have a crate to carry everything in. And my wife's like, oh, you got this planned out. I had it so planned out because, all right, one of the rules for the park was you can't bring your alcohol in.
Okay.
Do you think Tim followed that rule?
Of course not.
No.
You didn't bring it in. Your vehicle did.
No, yep. I did. And, once I took the flasks out of the console and put them in my pocket. Anyway. But they had a bar there. But, I went down and got one of their Christmassy drinks, which was like a white pepper or peppermint white mocha white Russian. I'm like, ugh, it was gross. I should have just got the Prosecco that my wife got.
There you go.
Okay. I love this with the chocolate.
Okay.
With a dark chocolate. Pick a dark.
Oh.
To me, I think all three wines go well with chocolate. The first, being the Josh and the Four Graces, goes very well with the pear. Your Swiss cheese and meat, more with the Four Graces. All right. I get it with the Argyle because, you know what I mean? I get where you got that. But the Josh, to me, that was the Gouda cheese.
Yeah.
However, the Argyle gave it took the smokiness and made the Gouda taste like a smoky Gouda.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it just went boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Gouda tasted well with all three, but yes, with the Argyle, it just gave it a punch.
Because you know the difference between a Gouda cheese and a smoky Gouda cheese. There's a difference, all right? Argyle made Gouda taste like a smoky Gouda cheese, which gives that smoke flavor, and it's coming from the oak that's in it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very oaky. This one's more cherry. The Four Graces is more cherry forward. Argyle is more oak. And Josh just has this, I don't know. There's something about Josh. I don't know that I've had a Josh Pinot Noir before. I haven't had their wines before, but there was something very subtle about Josh that I liked. Now I have to go back and see which one I prefer the best.
If I'm having pork for dinner, I want Josh.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's just, I wish I had a piece of pork here to taste with it. I'm telling you, the second I tasted it, I wanted pork. Maybe it might even go with my barbecue ribs.
Ooh, that is pork.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yum. I think so, because barbecue. Ooh, barbecue. Why didn't we not do barbecue something? That's way too much work.
Because we're waiting for the deal where Tim can do his barbecue and whiskey, and then Tim's going to do the barbecue, and he has to barbecue it, vacuum pack it, and send it to you.
Oh yes. I make a pretty mean barbecue. It's like I've been asked, do you boil your ribs? And I'm like, ew, no, I don't boil my ribs.
My mom has always made boil the ribs. I'm like, no, that takes the flavor out of them, Mom.
I do not boil my ribs. My ribs get cooked in my barbecue sauce, and they get thrown on the barbecue to give it just a little bit of char.
Yeah. And I slow cook mine wrapped in the oven for 4 hours at 200 degrees. Then I put them on the grill. Then that's when I add sauce.
Oh,
I don't add sauce until I put them on the grill, open on the grill.
Oh, okay.
All right. And I cook them on that grill. I mean, 4 hours in the oven at 200 degrees. Then it's on the grill for 200, all right, for another hour. And it's basically turned and adding sauce to it every 20 minutes.
I like
So,
that.
and then literally with that, mine peel. I mean, I mean, I can pull the bones right out. So, I've never done a, I've never done a brisket. I know, and that's the one thing I've not done in my stuff. But anyway, I'm good with
Really?
my ribs and my own sauce. My sauce is made with a cinnamon whiskey barbecue or cinnamon whiskey sauce. So, but
That sounds interesting. Is it your own moonshine stuff you're using, or are you using a specific whiskey?
no, I started out originally using Jim Beam cinnamon.
Okay. Oh,
And then I've
okay.
tried it with Jack cinnamon. Now here, there's a local Texas brewery called Iron Horse that they have it's called Iron Hot, and it
Uh-huh.
is the cinnamon whiskey. All right, and theirs is just they don't use like artificial flavors. At one point in time, I did put the Fireball into it, but Fireball is a chemically drink. I do not want to drink it. It's just when you taste Fireball and you compare it with something like an Iron Hot, which that's something we'll do sometime. We'll do cinnamon whiskey sometime. All right. And we'll do name brands versus off brands. I'm telling you, these smaller places use the sugars, all right, to bring your flavor in as opposed to Fireball, which Fireball has got like the chemicals that are in
Gasoline.
no, the chemicals that are in your like antifreeze. Same chemicals in it as yeah, I'm like sorry, Fireball, if you're listening, I don't like your whiskey.
I don't like it
Smells
either.
good. Not drinking it.
Yeah. I actually have a T-shirt, a Fireball T-shirt, because it matches my running gear, and I'm like, I don't like this stuff, and I'm like, I can't wear it. I know it matches, but I just can't do it. Sorry.
All right, so I have them. So I separated them so I know for my tastings. I have Josh, which is our Central Coast in the center, and I have my Oregons on the side because I have my Oregon glasses look the same. So, Josh,
I'm debating what I like the best.
Argyle. I'm putting a little fresh into what's been aerating and some more Four Graces.
No, I hadn't thought about that. Good idea.
But I've been airing all three of them and swirling before I do the taste. So now I'm going to do a compare. I'm going to start with Argyle.
And you're cleansing your palate with what after each one?
Cleanse it with water or cleanse it with a cracker?
Just ask him.
I'm going to do water, do a rinse. The second one I'm going to do now is Josh comparing. And the last one.
When you're tasting your wines is that you can leave it in your mouth for a little bit, take a little bit of oxygen in, and then before you swallow. That'll give you a completely different taste to your wine.
I have to. I know this is going to go against my Oregon roots with you. Josh is my favorite. I will give Four Graces my second, and Argyle being the last. But I'm sorry, to me, Josh.
You know, I will have to agree with you. If we were having a Willamette Valley Vineyard Pinot, I don't know that I'd put California ahead, but yeah, I think that
I think in this case here, because we compared regions, I think if we had done only Willamette or your Willamette Valley, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Willamette.
Willamette Valley, if we'd only done that, we could have made a fair comparison out of what comes out of there. But when you compare a wine with two different regions, this is what's good about this: is you're comparing two different ways the grapes are grown, two different environments, two different air, two different. All right, everything is different because the the growing environment is different,
It
right?
is. And normally Willamette Valley is known for Pinots. But in this case, the Josh just has a softness to it. And if we age the Four Graces and if we age the Argyle, I think that their flavors, their complexities will just develop nicely. But if you're, pulling a Josh right now, you can drink it right now and it'll be easy on the palate.
Yeah. So to me, I'm giving Josh number 1, Four Graces number 2, all right, and Argyle number 3.
I'm right there with you. This is, I think, the first time that we've agreed upon.
I know. I'm sorry, but I mean, usually, think about it. Almost everything we've compared, where you've sent me something from Oregon, I've loved it. I mean, even our vodkas, our very first episode, vodkas. I liked your Oregon vodka better than my Texas vodkas.
Yeah.
And this is the first. I'm actually liking Citra. Then again, truthfully, I've had more wines from California than anywhere. All right. And now I've not had a lot of Central Coast. A lot of my beginnings were Central Coast wines. All right. But like most of my wines I drink were Napa. And now we have an awful lot of Texas ones that we're doing because of the fact through the pandemic, we got to know an awful lot of Texas vineyards.
Right. Yeah. When I was in El Paso, not so much Texas, there was a couple, but it was more New Mexico. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, interesting. New Mexico has some good wines.
Actually, you and I will do a New Mexico wine thing. All right. But here's the deal. You and Sean got to fly down to New Mexico and meet Gwen and I, because we're going to the winery and we're going to just put the camera up and record it at the winery.
Oh, even better. Put them on the spot, dang it.
I'm telling you, yeah, because basically we'll stay. Well, here's the deal. We'll stay in Las Cruces, and the winery that we like is out in Deming.
Okay.
Here's the deal.
I got friends in El Paso, so I can stay in El Paso, and that's 15 minutes out from me.
Well, no, yeah. Las Cruces, though, is where Katrina Garcia, my other podcast that I'm on,
yes.
She lives there. So,
okay. Perfect.
So we'll have her come in. Her and her husband will come join us.
Our entire mastermind will be together. Okay, not all of it. Our mastermind is a little bit larger than just three of us.
It's a little bit larger than the three of us, but we're the three most important ones.
True story on that. Shh, don't tell the rest of the gang. But no, that's so I know that in 2 weeks we're going to be doing eggnog.
Yes.
So we'll figure out what it'll be kind of fun. So in 2 weeks, y'all, something with eggnog. We'll figure out, we're going to come up with something different. We're going to come up with different ideas of what to do with eggnog, because a lot of people think, oh yeah, eggnog's whatever. And then just throw rum in it. I think we could do more to eggnog than just rum.
I think our listeners, all right, so if you're listening to this broadcast, send us a link, put it in the comments, all right, a link to any eggnog recipes you have.
We will try them out before 2 weeks from now to see which ones are our favorites, and those are the ones, and we will give you a shout out. Believe me, we'll let you know.
Gotcha. So next week, though, what we're going to do next week, I think, because then we're going to 2 weeks, we're going to do it because that's before Christmas. We'll do eggnog. All right. The last week of December, we're going to do sparkling wines. So next week, I think maybe next week we do, the Tim and Gladys's mixed drinks for Christmas.
Ooh.
Because I had so much fun doing the mixed drinks for Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, and it's still a favorite at our house. My mixed drink.
That was a lot of fun that we did that day. That was like, hey, try something different. Why the heck not? And even though I messed up one of my recipes, I still have not opened up that cider, that hard cider that I have.
Sean,
it's still in my
open
fridge.
the cider for her, Sean. Make her drink it.
That was hilarious. But Sean did make me another special hot toddy. He warmed up my cider and did whatever he did with it. And we're watching a movie and it was yummy and it warmed me up, and watched the movie and had a grand old time. So apple cider, y'all, you can do so much with it. Have fun. Try different things. Enjoy. That's what it's all about, is try new things. If you don't like it, don't do it again. And if you do, you have a new recipe.
Wait a minute. I come up with an idea for our January 3rd episode, even
Ooh, what's that?
because it's just after New Year's.
So Bloody Marys?
Well, no, I was
Aw.
thinking. That's one idea, but my other idea, since it's just after New Year's, was coffee and alcohol mixture drinks.
Ooh, yes. There's so much you can do with that.
You see, this is why we're going to have 52 weeks of episodes every year, because we can't come up. We already have so many ideas.
May will be filled with tequila and mezcal and all those, type of drinks,
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have our favorites, what we'll be doing. So
Yeah.
if you have ideas, share them. What do you want to see? What do you want us to try? Is there something on your list that you say, I wonder about?
Yeah.
Let us know. We might just put it and we'll give you the shout out.
And we'll give you the shout out. All right. And we would love it if we actually could taste it with you. So let's put these up in front of the camera so our listeners can do it. Josh Pinot Noir, Central Coast. See, guys, we got the 2020 is what we got. Our second one being Four Graces. So, guys, if you want to go to your local distributor and find Four Graces this weekend. And the last one is our Argyle. All right. So remember, if you're gonna have pork chops or you're gonna have a pork roast, I would go with Josh.
Or rib.
Trying to think, the pasta. If you're gonna do a pasta dishes, all three of them were kind of good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else I could pair it with. To say if you're having for dinner, I would say all three of these would go good with a duck.
Probably.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, just try with different things. What do you want to try it with? It's about experimenting, having fun, and enjoying. It's all food and drinks.
I would love it to hear what you come up with it, and if it was different than what we come up with. So, anyway, guys, I am Tim Gillette, your co-host on this end. All right.
Boutwell, LadyG on this end.
Yep. So, LadyG, MrT. All right. I didn't have any of our stuff rolling down because I had just one and left it go, but don't worry about it. Go follow us on YouTube. Help us we need to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube.
We need 100 subscribers. I was talking about it today, and one of my clients had been cyber stalking me. It's like, oh my goodness, you're out there. And I said, new YouTube channel, please like us, please follow us. And he's like, absolutely. So LadyG, MrT on YouTube, please follow us.
And that's the temporary address. We'll actually have a personalized address once we get 100 subscribers. The other place is we are on Facebook, facebook.com/LadyG and MrT podcast. We'll take you to our Facebook page, and please like us there because that's where we're broadcasting live every week right now. All right, guys, until next week when we actually are going to do our mixed drinks. Have a great week, guys. Thanks.